All right. Look for it.
I'm looking.
Start looking.
I got my binoculars.
Get them out. Look, dude.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Where them button mappers at?
Where them button boys at?
Where they be?
Look for them.
But you can't find them.
Out in a galaxy far, far away, mapping buttons. It's the button mappers.
That's for Star Wars month.
There we go. Why didn't we do that?
We will one day, trust me. I actually was like watching episode 2 the other day. For no particular reason.
The second episode of which season?
The prequel season. the George Lucas fuck up season.
Season -1.
Yeah. Season Padme.
Tis the season. Yeah.
I realize that we don't usually I'm playing trailers for things, but usually we play them for video games. Usually we play them for video games and they're fine, but when we've gone to other forms of media, it has not been fine. So I'm not.
Yeah, it's like we
gonna do that.
I mean, yeah,
I'll
you don't have to just
click on pictures.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there, that's it. Moving pictures.
These are pictures from The Dark Knight. How cool!
Why don't you do GIFs?
I could
do moving.
Yeah, why not do Jif peanut butter?
Because then I'd have to reallocate the entire screen.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're gonna just click on timestamps?
Yeah, that look cool.
Okay. Is this your movie?
No, this is not my movie.
Dude, is that Patrick Bateman? Holy shit! There he is.
Is that Patrick Swayze?
It's Patrick Bateman Swayze.
Is that Gilbert Gottfried?
Okay.
That was
the eating of grape.
I'm sad Gilbert Gottfried died.
I'm the hero that Gotham deserved. Not the one it needs right now. Doesn't sound anything like Gilbert Gottfried, but that's the best I can do.
I'm not the one wearing hockey pads.
I love Gilbert Gottfried. God bless his soul.
Well, we should get started because we are on a time crunch.
Yes.
Welcome one and all to another episode of the Button Mappers. We're still in comic book month. Feels like we've been in comic book month for like an eternity.
Yeah.
To me. And we still have another week of it after this. And today we're doing a special episode because one part of comic book culture nowadays is the film industry. They're huge in pop culture. They're everywhere. You can't go anywhere without seeing fucking Spider-Man on something. And it's all thanks to movies. So today we're actually going to talk about some comic book movies. We're going to share them, pass them around, take one down, pass it around. 99 comic book movies on the wall, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's going to be good. Have we done a movie talk? We did like a animated movie talk, didn't we? Or something?
Yeah, we did an animated one. I don't recall if we did anything outside of that.
Some shows. Or a show. We did a Resident
We've
Evil.
done book talks, comic book talks.
Jizz talk. No,
how did that one go? Remind me.
Oh. Got a little messy.
It went. Just like Spider-Man, I was spitting webs.
It went everywhere.
If you're wondering about the audio, Alex is on his phone today. He's calling in.
My laptop is still updating. I have an update on Discord. It's taking forever. and we're on time crunch. So if it does update, I'll switch over to there. But if it,
I hope the update fixes everything.
I hope the update just fucking eats a dick. It's taking too long. Hope it dies. Anyway, welcome everybody.
Down date.
So we are going to talk about comic book movies today, or movies inspired by comics, or whatever the hell. Who cares? And talk about them for you, the internet, and I don't know. Do you guys like comic book movies, or what's your thing?
Yeah, I think
my thing.
Oh, go ahead, Teddy. Sorry.
No, I'm joking. I'm serious. You should go.
I think I do. There's something to be said about a medium that can talk about real issues but do it in such a gregarious way that children can be interested in it. I think sometimes they get a little too big for themselves, but and I'm not like going to follow them that closely. But as a more of like an outsider fan, yeah, I think in general I like them.
Like casual fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I like comic book movies. I do follow them, but like, not to an extent that like if one comes out and it's like the worst movie I've ever seen, I'm gonna like go on the internet and do a 15-page essay, like some people do. Here's the rise and fall of the MCU. It's like I don't give a shit. Like if a movie comes out, it's bad. It's bad. If a movie comes out, it's good. It's like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of comic book movie chat now. Surrounding like oh my god, the MCU's great, it's back. Oh my god, the MCU's dead. Oh my god, the DCU's shit. Oh my god, the DCU's amazing. It's like, guys, just watch a movie. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's my cue. I liked comic movies before it became kind of a like mandate that you have to like keep up with a universe. I used to like standalone kind, like I used to watch some Batman movies. I used to watch the Spider-Man in the Tobey era. And I think I like those like one-off comic book movies. I'll say I dislike Marvel, but it's just a different type of viewing experience, which, it's good when it's good, and when it's not, it's not. But I think the idea of you're not a real fan if like you don't, see, I don't know, Thor's appearance in something. I don't agree with that. I think it's framed that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. That idea is just like it's a little much to expect that out of me. To like,
consume, Spencer, consume. That's what they want.
I think we were talking about like the show, like because now there's TV shows included in that universe too.
Yeah,
and we were talking, I think, about like the Agatha movie or something, or show.
Yeah,
and you were like, you had to have seen WandaVision. I'm like,
yeah, and that's the way it works now. It's like you had to, and like I'm wrapped up in this shit now, and it's like whenever I watch with other people, and we're like casually watching like a movie, like I'm like, hey guys, want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Guess what? I have to explain the entire plot of not only the first two Guardians of the Galaxy, but like the fucking Avengers movies now to like for them to enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because it doesn't make any sense out of context,
Yeah, it's a little much for me. And I think Teddy.
Yeah.
I agree with Teddy. It's, but yeah.
There's fatigue. There's probably a lot of fatigue on it. I think when it became integrated with like the TV shows, it's like clearly they're milking you at this point, and some people like it. They're like, milk me, but
milk me, Disney, Daddy Disney.
Alex likes being milked.
No, I don't watch all of it. Like all the new stuff. Like I don't feel the need to watch everything. I skip some stuff, but I do like watching. I am a fan of like the comic book universe, so it is fun to see like how they adapt stuff. But so yeah, today we're going to talk about some comic book movies, and we're going to go around the table, and I'm going to start with Teddy.
So flattered. All right, so I'll just start by asking, to you guys, who is the prototypical superhero? / comic book hero.
Superman.
Arm fall off boy. I'm just kidding. It's probably.
Okay, it is in fact Superman that I watched today. So
no, I thought it was Arm fall off boy.
Sorry, Alex.
I watched the 1978 Christopher Reeves Superman movie.
Ooh.
If you want to put some images on the screen of Dude 49 Superman.
Oh, I can do that.
Ooh.
Let me go to that.
You know they gotta have some.
Yeah.
Some with Christopher Reeve getting fucked by a horse.
Okay, like shooting lasers out of his dick or something.
Yeah.
The question is how long before it gets to that image?
Him shooting lasers out of his dick.
It's a challenge I'm gonna take.
Yeah. All right. Superman. This is a classic comic book hero, Superman. Everybody loves him. Everybody hates him. He is iconic. He is the almost invulnerable man, weak to only kryptonite. I think he's become something of a legacy superhero / comic book hero. And the 1978 film is kind of a campy classic, but it's definitely worth watching. There are a lot of Superman movies, so I'll focus specifically on the movies today. I don't have the comic book history up, but the first Superman movie dates back to 1948, followed by Atom Man versus Superman in 1950, and then Superman and the Mole Men in 1951. And the lead star in that one is George Reeves, who I have to do some digging here, but I imagine that's his father, or Christopher Reeves. And then they didn't have another Superman movie for another 27 years, and 1978 marked the first Christopher Reeves film in Superman. So I'll talk about kind of what makes this movie special and just some of the plot and some of the elements and what makes it campy and cheesy too. But first, subscribe if you're new, and if you are a Superman or woman, your choice, I guess, or a choice made for you. But you're extra super if you subscribe. Just saying. You should superscribe, not just subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
So Christopher Reeves is kind of your classic, like, American handsome man. He's got the cowlick, and he also has the Clark Kent going on. And the movie starts with him on planet Krypton as a baby, and the population on the planet is about to explode, but they send him out in this star to a galaxy far, far away. And I'm just doing this from memory. I'm not doing this while reading the plot. And he ends up in Earth in some bumblefuck town, raised by shepherds. They have some kind of Romulus Remus thing going on here. Shepherds is kind of exaggeration, but they're farm people. And it fast forwards a bit. Actually, before that, you see even baby Superman save the family. I think the car falls, and then the kid picks it up. He's just sitting there smiling. He's got kind of this charm to him, even as the baby. And it fast forwards to him in his teenage years, and he's like the towel boy for the football team. And they kind of, I think this plays into his character a bit, where he's kind of like this unexpected suave dude, but everyone kind of sees him as like your towel boy. It's just throughout the movie, somebody who's like, I guess, like humbling, like unimposing. And so the girl's like, "Hey, Clark, you want to come to the after party?" And a kid on the football team's like, "No, he's got too much to clean up. He's not going to make it." And then he just takes the girl, and then they drive away. And so Clark Kent kicks the football all the way out into the fields. And then he just runs all the way across the Midwest, runs alongside a train. A girl's taking a photograph, and then he just jumps right in front of the train. And the next thing you know, he's just standing with his arms on the truck, like, "Hey guys!" And he sees the truck full of babes and the football player. They're like, "Hey Clark, how'd you beat us?" He's like, you know, I guess I drive fast or whatever he says. I'm butchering it, but that's the point. Is that it's just that you know, he can't let anything stop him. And on his 18th birthday, he winds up back in the Arctic with this kryptonite that he throws into the ocean, and then he has revealed his destiny, who he is, his true name. It's like Kamel. And
Kal-El, right?
Oh yeah, Kal-El. Oh, Kal-El, whatever. Thank you. And the dad says the true father reveals himself as this apparition, Wizard of Oz style, and says, "You were made to do good and bring peace and benevolence to this planet. So be a good boy, Clark, or be a good boy, Kal-El." And that thus begins his first reveal with the cape, the big chest, and the flying. And it's very funny, the effects that you see. The budget for this movie was pretty high. It was $55 million. But throughout the movie, you see Kal-El as Superman, performing all these heroic deeds and just incredible acts. And it does it through this really interesting technical style where, like, the screen moves really fast and he green screens around smaller to big, in and out, and all in the classic, like, Superman pose.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of, like, funny little scenes that you see. It goes then to adult Superman, where he's also Clark Kent. I guess that is also his name as a teenager too, but where he's working for the Daily Bugle, and he meets Lois Lane, who is an ambitious go-getter reporter, but also can't spell. There's one P in rapist is a standout line from the editor who rejects her story. She can't spell, so that's kind of the irony, is that, like, she's like, it has this incredible drive, and in fact she's about to get robbed, and she hands the purse to the guy and then drops it, and then she kicks him in the face. She's really awesome in this movie. I kind of like Lois, although she screams a lot. And so yeah, and this is the first time you really see some of his heroic ability, where the robber, fires the gun, and then Clark catches the bullet, but she has no idea. And he falls, and she's like, "Clark, are you okay?" And Clark has this kind of unimposing, like, geeky vibe to him. He meets her, and he's like, "Wow, it's really swell to see you." And she's like, "Who says swell?" So you have this juxtaposition of the Clark Kent goofy guy with the glasses to the big heroic Superman who swoons the ladies and becomes this big force and reveals himself after saving her in a helicopter. You have the reveal of the antagonist, Lex Luthor. I want to say Lex Luthor, but it's Lex Luthor. And he's, like, in the catacombs of the New York subway system, and he's really his antagonism, or his evil, is really revealed, like, when he uses this trap for one of his henchmen to get them in the lair, and then a policeman follows this system and tries to go in. But in order to work, a subway train has to pass, and so the policeman goes up against the wall, and instead of turning around, it pushes him out into the subway, and then right before the subway hits, it just catapults him right to the subway. And the police, like, that were following him because they were trailing this guy who is Lex Luthor's henchman, they see the shredded cap on the train, and they're like, "Damn, another one down," or whatever they say.
Yeah.
So there's this real, like, depth of character that I like, even just in who I've described, the eras of Clark, the shepherd parents, the classic antagonist, evil dude, Lex Luthor. And he's quite bright. He really works with his imagination in how to take down Superman, who is, like, this big impenetrable force. But, Lois Lane even has some pitfalls, revealing some of his weaknesses, his inability to see through lead. in the newspaper, so that's how he finds out. And Lex Luthor's thing is he wants to be this like big bad criminal, like the biggest one the world has ever seen. Classic comic book stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it functions really well in this way. There are some plot elements that are kind of ridiculous. Superman turning back time. I won't say more on it, but if you see it in the movie, it's kind of ridiculous. And there are other elements like that. I think some of it's charming, some of the effects. There's a good use of miniatures. So one of the key features is Lex Luthor has like 2 missiles that go off, and one hits the San Andreas Fault, and then like earthquakes start erupting, like massive earthquakes. And so you see like dams break, and it looks like a bunch of bath water like rolling over gravel and like miniature houses. And it's pretty obvious by today's standards, but I just think it's nice to see stuff like that in like a day and age where we're used to more CG taking over these kind of things. And even with Superman green screening out, it's so funny. Him with Lois Lane in the sky, holding her, then dropping her, then she starts screaming, and then he just comes back up and catches her. She's always fallen, she's always screaming, she's always being saved. But it's yeah, it was a good watch. I appreciate watching Superman for today.
Nice. Classic.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to watch this movie. It just I never got to the point where I sat down and watched it. It sounds good. It sounds great.
Yeah, I would give it a week from when I talked about it, so that way maybe you don't remember some of these elements. But it is on Amazon Prime. I have the free trial right now for just like Christmas shopping and stuff. But you also get the service for it, so I found it there.
Okay. Whenever I think of Superman, I think of at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2. I guess I should say at the end of Kill Bill. But
yeah.
Bill gives just an amazing. That's such a good movie. It's like one of my favorite movies ever. But he gives like a really interesting take on Superman. Not even like really a take, just kind of explaining what Superman is. And it's just so memorable and so like chilling knowing who he is and everything. But that kind of sticks with me now when I think of Superman, because I used to just think like he's stupid, and it was like, oh, they did like early superheroes, they just have to be like invincible monsters that have no weakness. I mean, his weakness is kryptonite, something nobody has ever heard of or whatever. It's like, who cares about that? That's silly. But I think when after hearing that and then kind of letting it sit with me and growing and maturing as an adult, I'm like, okay, I get it. Superman it's not really something you should take as seriously as his powers. It's more like the reflection of society, of like what could be, and then what they view humans as is like a meek, like weak, like his interpretation of what a person is that could blend in is just like what Clark Kent is. And I find that so interesting now. So I think that movie gave me like a new appreciation for Superman.
Yeah, it's almost like a body snatcher.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, you're right.
In a good way.
Dude, you're right. Dude. No, dude, I just rewatched Kill Bill 1 and 2 for my birthday recently, like back in August.
Yeah.
And okay, no, you're right. That speech is amazing. Yeah, I like Superman. Always viewed Superman as more of like a Greek god type figure, And I feel like that's how like, a lot of like especially early superheroes were sort of transitioned over from like mythology almost. So. Very cool. I haven't watched this movie in ages. I know I've seen it, but it's been so long. Like I was so young when I originally watched it that I couldn't recall more than like a few bits and pieces. I do remember the turning back time part though. That is hilarious.
That's like a pop culture reference at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And you've probably seen clips of this movie, even though you haven't seen it, Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some moments that are kind of like cinema staples, I feel like.
Yeah. And that's Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, right? Lex Luger's a wrestler. Lex Luthor. Right?
I believe so. I saw his name. Let's see. I'll go to the movie and I'll find out for you.
But yeah, it's so weird thinking of Gene Hackman as, in that kind of role. I mean, obviously this is him when he's a little younger, but I always just think of him as like inspirational coach guy. I don't know. It's funny to think of him as like a villain, but I'm sure he does a great job. He's a good actor. But it'd be interesting to see him in that role.
Better than what's his name? Who's the guy that played Lex recently was fucking the guy that played Mark Zuckerberg. What's his name? Kid in Zombieland.
Yeah. Eisenberg.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse
I couldn't
Eisenberg.
take him, dude. I could not take him seriously as Lex Luthor. They they even shaved his head, and then they gave him a thing where he loved like Jolly Ranchers, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy?
He was like a big actor for a while. It looked like they were trying to replace Michael Cera for some reason, but I don't know. He got some.
Yeah, he was like the
roles.
he was like the charismatic Sarah.
Yeah.
Weird.
I've always had mixed feelings on Superman. Like, I like him, but he's just so standard, I feel like the standard vision of what a superhero is, that I think he's like unexciting.
Yeah. I think the lessons learned from
Yeah.
Superman is you got to give some kind of weakness, or else there's not really a lot going on in the story.
Well, it's just, I mean, at one point Superman was like the top DC character, and then now it's Batman, who's a guy that has nothing. So it's kind of like,
Mm.
it's obvious to see what people like. They like more, I guess, more relatable characters, and like Superman's hard to relate to. You can relate to Batman because he's just a fucking guy.
They're like more relatable characters, like a billionaire.
Well, but it's possible. That's possible. It's possible to be a
Right.
billionaire.
You could.
It's not possible to be an
CEO,
alien.
the minority of
Yeah.
the country.
Look, if Elon Musk wanted to be Batman, he could do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if Elon Musk was Batman? That's relatable. That's
Give him time.
That's what the people
Give him,
want.
give him time. He'll do it.
Yeah. Who played Lois Lane? Was she hot in this movie?
I'm sure she is.
Margaret Kidder.
You got to be kidding me.
Margit?
It's called Margot, like the Elden Ring boss.
Yeah, I know. I think I fought her one time. Let's see.
You did.
Yeah, no, she was pretty attractive. She aged gracefully. I respect that. Ooh, but yeah, there's some pictures in here. Not bad.
They have to have a hot chick, because it's like this is like the era of like the Bond babes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did she and Superman?
Can he?
Well, there's a sequel. Yeah, I think he can, because she asked about it in one of the interviews. Because he goes to her for like an exclusive interview, and she's like, "So,
Superman, can you
what'd she
fuck?"
say? She's like, "Do the parts match the drapes or something? Like something like that."
Yeah.
She's like clearly trying to understand his anatomy.
Yeah, but like Superman has to be honest. He's like, "No, Lois, I have an incredibly tiny dick.
It is so small, like every human's.
It's so small, like every human's.
It's like a
yours.
Ken doll. There's nothing there.
Yeah. I have no pieces under there, unfortunately.
What you see is what you get.
It's as smooth as a baby's bottom.
I secrete semen through my tears. Would you like to come cry with me?
How romantic.
Just be like
Which, by the way,
the worst lover.
I have to give it up for his acting. His expressiveness in this film is really good. Like just facial expressions.
The real question is, are you going
There
to
is
watch
one
those
part-
sequels?
Yeah.
Maybe I started the second one. It pulls off on the interesting cliffhanger because the time travel thing is like forbidden. There's like you must not do this, Superman. It's forbidden. They can like keep repeating this in the echo chamber, and so there's like some conflict of like what will happen next. They kind of leave on that, so I think that's pretty cool. So I would be open to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame with Christopher Reeves. I don't know how far out after the Superman stuff or what he had planned, but it's sad to see somebody like that. That's clearly a big star, just take a real downturn. I think we just lost him recently, right?
That's 2004.
Oh, he died in 2004. Never mind.
That was recent.
For some reason, I thought
By our standards.
I'd heard of it
20
again
years
recently. I guess maybe somebody related to him or something. But yeah, that sucks. To see the Superman get like paralyzed from the quadriplegic. Was it quadriplegic? It was, right? From his horse accident.
Guess he wasn't invincible after all.
Oh, Alex, come on now.
I'm just kidding. That's mean.
That's no.
I'll go to the
right.
equestrianism section of Wikipedia. They have this. Reeve began his involvement in horse riding in 1985 after learning to ride for the film Anna Karenina. He was initially allergic to horses, so he took antihistamines. He trained on Martha's Vineyard, and by 1989 began eventing. His allergies soon disappeared. He had leg injuries as a teen while skiing and later broke 3 ribs in a riding accident on The Tonight Show in March 1987. Skip around a bit. On May 27, 1995, Reeves' horse made a refusal. That's a horse riding term, where it's the failure of a horse to jump a fence to which is presented. Witnesses said the horse began the 3rd fence jump and suddenly stopped. Reeve fell forward off the horse, holding onto the reins. His hands became tangled in them, and the bridle and bit were pulled off the horse. He landed head first on the far side of the fence, shattering his 1st and 2nd vertebrae. The resulting cervical spinal injury paralyzed him from the neck down and halted his breathing. Paramedics arrived 3 minutes later and immediately took measures to get air into his lungs. He was taken first to the local hospital before being flown by helicopter to UV Medical Center. He had no recollection of the accident.
It's quadriplegic. God damn. Yeah. That's brutal, dude.
I've never ridden a horse to this day.
Yeah, you won't catch me on a horse. If it can take down Superman,
Man, we should get horseback riding, dude.
Well, we're not going to be competitive horseback riding, so that's the thing.
We could.
But, you know, I think people think of me as like a Zelda fan. They're like, "Don't you want to ride a horse someday?" I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, I actually don't like
feet.
I have ridden a horse, but I actually don't like it because it's like it feels weird riding like another animal. Riding like another living thing.
Weird in the nether region.
Weird and just like the philosophy of riding like another living thing. I don't know why it was.
I don't like the idea of riding other animals. I do like the idea of riding other people, though.
That's true. I will do that, especially those that are lower class.
Mm-hmm. If you're in a lower tax bracket, just be prepared. I'm going to just strap a saddle on you and take you for a spin.
No wonder you guys are Batman fans.
yeah, he's becoming more relatable by the minute.
Yeah, this is the button mapper episode where you find out that we are incredibly classist.
It'd be great if Bruce Wayne was just like a real dick. He like, I gotta keep my billionaire persona up. Yeah, like Alfred's just questioning, like, why are you riding the people, Bruce? Why are you doing that? Well,
Bruce, get off the people.
They're not going to suspect I'm Batman if I'm also riding the poor people.
No, I was picturing he's like riding them as Batman.
Oh, as Batman. Well, Batman's
Alfred. Bring me my subjects.
I think it'd be genius if he played up his billionaire persona to the point where he was a huge dickhead in the public eye.
Oh, yeah.
And then they would never suspect.
Yeah, I was just like, man, Bruce Wayne's a
Bruce Wayne. He's riding a human centipede down the main street. Bruce Wayne waving to the people.
That would be smarter. That would actually be a smarter persona because nobody would expect him to be Batman.
Right. Then he's like, then crime happens, and he has to hop off and run into the bathroom. Yeah.
All right, we do have to.
Since we're off Superman, yeah, let's go ahead and switch it.
All right. I think I'm actually going to go next because mine is actually like a comic book movie, and I know Spencer's going to talk about something that isn't exactly, so I'm going to leave him for last. Sorry, Spencer.
Okay.
I love you.
Okay.
All right. So the year 2008.
Fuck yeah.
A lot was happening in the comic book world, especially in films. Some of the biggest comic book movies ever made came out in 2008. I'm talking The Dark Knight. Talking Iron Man. These movies set up a precedent for what comic book movies could be going forward. And my movie also came out in 2008, and it is the lowest gaining flop from Marvel that has ever existed. Today I'm talking about one of my favorite dumb movies of all time, Punisher Warzone. Came out in 2008. Stars Ray Stevenson as the Punisher himself, Mr. Frank Castle. Has other characters in it, like Wayne Knight, yes, from Seinfeld, plays Micro, his partner. And there's some other guys. Dominic West plays Billy the Butte, a.k.a. Jigsaw the Villain. I'm a huge fan of the Punisher. I like anti-heroes, and the Punisher is like the anti-hero. You know, he's basically, if you don't know the Punisher's deal, he's basically, he was an ex-Marine, and he and his family were in the Central Park, and they witness a mob execution, and so they kill his entire family. And he survives and dons the Punisher name, and basically he's out to kill every crime family in New York. That's the Punisher's whole thing. He's not a superhero. He is just a guy that wants to kill everybody that is a fuckhead. And somehow that character is one of my favorite comic book characters because he's actually a pretty deep and complex character, dealing with a lot of PTSD and other issues like that. And he's had a rough history when it's come to cinematic debuts. This is actually the third attempt to bring him to the big screen. There are two other ones before this. There was I think there was a movie in I think it's like 89 or something, or I can't remember what year it is. I actually have a DVD, but it stars Dolph Lundgren as Punisher, and it's awful. And then there was one in 2004, which I think people are more familiar with. And this is the third time they tried to reboot the Punisher for the big screen. And this actually started life as a sequel to that 2004 movie before just becoming its own movie. This movie is bad, very bad, but it's one of those few times that a movie is so bad it's actually fucking awesome. Because when making this movie, the director Lexi Alexander, the only thing she's directed of note besides this is Green Street Hooligans. She was butting heads with Lionsgate, who was funding the film. And her vision for the movie was to basically, at first she actually rejected the film, and then she actually read a few of the Punisher comics at the time, and then she came back and agreed to do it. And her vision was to make an action movie akin to like those big, like 80s action films, violent, stupid, over the top films. And I think she succeeded. There was, like I said, she did butt heads with Lionsgate during the production. Lionsgate at one point even thought about taking this down to a PG-13, which would have been really dumb on their part. But no, they kept the hard R, and this is a very violent, very stupid movie. So the Punisher Warzone takes place 4 years into the Punisher's career of killing everybody that is even slightly a fucking criminal in New York. And it starts with him hitting a mafia meeting. This like big, crime family is like having this dinner, and then he just all the lights cut out, and then he shows up with like this flare, and then he starts killing everybody at this dinner table in very stupid ways. Like he cuts this guy's head off, and then he starts snapping people's necks with like his hands and feet like on the table. And then he like he starts fighting like these guys, and then like one guy goes to like throw a chair at him, and he kicks the chair back, and the leg of the chair goes through the guy's face. And then he like hangs from the chandelier and starts like spinning for some reason and shooting people. And it's very over the top and stupid. But it sets the tone for the rest of the film, because the rest of the film is violent and stupid. So he kills off this entire crime family. The only person that wasn't in the room is the villain of the movie, Billy the Beaut. He automatically becomes head of the crime family because he's the only survivor now. And shortly after, Frank is coming for Billy the Beaut at it's like a glass recycling plant that he uses, to, do his crime shit out of. And Frank ends up throwing Billy into a vat of like glass and turning it on and just shredding him all to pieces. And while he's also in the building taking out other criminals, he accidentally shoots an FBI agent that's there undercover. And that's really where the story picks up. Billy survives, and he has his face reconstructed and like put together with like horsehide and stuff, and he becomes a villain called Jigsaw, which is a very funny moment in the movie. He's like his like plastic surgeon takes off his like wrapping, and then he's like horrified, because like his name was Billy the Beaut, so he was like all about his looks. So he's like horrified to see what like he's become. And then he's like, guys, leave me alone for my doctor. Like I need to talk to my doctor for a second. So his goons leave, and he kills the doctor. And then there's just a scene of him looking out of like a window at like a fucking advertisement in Times Square that shows like no joke, shows a jigsaw puzzle coming together to like advertise the Statue of Liberty. And then, like, a few scenes later, they're, like, driving, and then, they're, like, making plans. Like, okay, what are we gonna do about the Punisher? And he's like, Billy, what are we gonna do? He's like, my name, don't call me Billy. From now on, call me Jigsaw. And I'm like, he literally just saw a Jigsaw advertisement, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna be called that. Like, there's no real... it's such a dumb reason to, like, make your villain name. But I was like, hey, sure. I mean, that's probably how I'd do it. The Punisher is dealing with the fact that he accidentally killed one of the good guys, the undercover FBI agent. He's racked with guilt for that, and he is like, he leaves the wife a widow, and she has a daughter. So he tries to like take the money to make up for it, and they reject his money and they tell him to leave. And he's trying his best. Wayne Knight plays Micro, who's the guy that actually supplies the Punisher with all of his weapons in the comics. And he also has this other guy working for him that like used to be a gangbanger, but now he's gone straight. But he uses him to like go underground to get weapons and like info and stuff. And those are the other two characters that are really in the movie. And then there's like a C plot with these officers. Or this one cop that's like been tracing him for like the past 4 years, and then an FBI agent that has joined the case after Frank killed the other FBI agent, and they're both out to like catch the Punisher. So that's kind of like three things swirling around at once in the plot of the movie. From there, it's just an action movie, and it culminates with the kind of scenario you think, where Jigsaw kind of gets like all the gangs in New York to come together to kill the Punisher. And there's this big standoff. He captures like the wife and the girl. He captures Micro, and like Frank has to make a decision at the end, like who is he gonna save? And there's just some really dumb action throughout it, and it's fucking awesome. There's a scene where Jigsaw goes to the wife's house to try to find some money that the FBI agent was hiding from him. Like he said he was laundering it, but really he was taking it for evidence. So they go to her house, and Frank shows up, and there's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and you can find it on YouTube. And I don't know how they got away with this. There's a scene where he opens the back door, and one of the Jigsaw's goons is like watching the back door, and Frank literally punches him through his face, like into his face, and it is so stupid. And it's like a split-second scene, and I have watched that scene a million times, trying to rack my brain around how they got away with that. Because there's no possible way he could punch somebody through the face, but he fucking did, and it's awesome.
I found
there's also another. Yeah, and there's also another villain, the Billy's brother, Looney Bin Jim. They save him from like an insane asylum as part of his plan to take down the Punisher. And there's some really cheesy dialogue with them. There's some great dialogue in this movie. When they save Looney Bin Jim from the insane asylum, at first you see him getting like he's like chained up, and there's this like really fat nurse that's about to feed him some applesauce, and then he eats the applesauce in front of him. And you take it that like that happens every day, and then Jigsaw shows up and frees him, and then the Looney Bin Jim is like he like looks at the fat nurse and he's like, "I'm gonna get my applesauce back." And then he starts like killing the nurse and like biting him and shit, and then there's also a scene later on where the gangbanger that like went straight is like dying, and he's like, "Frank, I'll see you in hell." And Frank's like, "If I see you anywhere near hell, I'll kick your ass." This movie had a $35 million budget and it made $10 million, and it's the Marvel's biggest flop. But my God, this movie's fucking awesome, and I stand by that. Watch it if you love action movies. It's a great time. Like even critics were kind of split because some were like, "This is really stupid," and some were like, "This is like fun, like a really fun movie." Not a good interpretation of the character, the Punisher. If you want like a better version of that, watch that like Netflix series they did. That had 2 seasons and like actually did a good job of bringing the comic book character to life. But if you want a fun action movie, here you go.
What is accurate, or what makes the Punisher the Punisher? Like, what is his like? I don't know what makes him the kind of character he is, because I'm not exposed to the series at all. I've never really dabbled in it.
Well, the Punisher's thing is all about like personal justice, and he's not the good guy in the story, and he knows that. Like, which I feel like is people get confused on that, like in real life. Like, there's I remember a few years ago there was like a I forgot which state it was, but some like police force in some state where like putting Punisher logos on their vehicles. And one of the creators from the Punisher comics came out and said, like, guys, like, the Punisher isn't the person you should be glorifying, And even in the comics, he said that before. He's said, like, "Oh, if you want a hero, look at Captain America, not me," And that's kind of his whole thing. I think the Punisher is kind of like the realistic expectation of, like, like you look at Batman and it's like, oh, his family was killed and he protects the city. It's like the Punisher, his family was killed, and he just wants revenge. Like that's his whole thing. Again, it's like personal justice. Like, and the character's more complex than just being an action movie character. Again, he's racked with PTSD. That's a big part of that like Netflix series. That Netflix series is really interesting because it was like one of the first pieces of like television that I've seen where they actually like deep dive into like the fact that like military vets are kind of treated like shit in our country, and like they don't really have support, and and it's I don't know, it's hard to like put into words the character of the Punisher, but he is a dark, brooding character. He is an anti-hero and he does kill people, but there's a lot more to him. This movie tries to a little bit. Like, he has a connection with the daughter of the FBI agent he killed, and it's obvious that like he misses his children whenever he like interacts with the child, because he's like a immediately like becomes like a softer character than he really is. I don't know. He's just interesting, I think, and he's my favorite Marvel character. It's just, again, if you're looking for on-screen representation, the 3 movies they've done do not do a great job doing that, and I think it's shifted like public view of like what this character actually is. But hey, I got a good action movie out of it, so I can't complain.
I only know, the only thing I know from the Punisher is that in 2004 when Kevin Nash is the big Russian guy in the red stripes.
Yeah, that's the Thomas James.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was actually started out as a sequel, but this is like so far removed from that when it got finished that like they even because like Thomas Jane even like he dropped out of doing a sequel, and then they brought in Ray Stevenson, who might I say does a fantastic job in this movie. He's pretty good. Honestly, every actor in this movie works with what they were handed. They did the best they probably possibly could.
Okay.
And there's like some really good line deliveries, and they're like like chewing it like the villains are like chewing at the scenery. Like it's pretty good. It's just the fact that like what they were handed wasn't a good movie.
This may be a lot to ask, but does Wayne Knight get a lot of screen time?
He gets some.
Because he's awesome.
Not a lot. Oh yeah, I love him in this movie, but yeah, he doesn't get a ton of a screen time, but you do get a few. I'd say a good like 4 or 5 scenes with him.
And does he just play Newman?
Kinda. Honestly, he just kind of looks like Newman, but like he sells guns to Frank now.
Because he was obviously he's in Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah.
And it's just Newman.
Yeah.
He's
yeah. He kind of is just Newman.
Yeah, just being Newman is phenomenal. It needs to be in everything, quite frankly.
Yeah, and it works because like Micro's supposed to be like a loser type character who's like who's able to like hack things and get guns for Frank and stuff. So like I think he fits the role pretty well. They never play it up as a joke though. Fat nerd,
So this came out the same year as Iron Man, you said?
And The Dark Knight.
Well, the Iron Man one, do you think at the time they were prepping this to be part of the Marvel? Was there any potential connection to the cinematic universe?
Actually, they're not really, because this is by Lionsgate, and this is still whenever the film rights for all the Marvel stuff was split up.
Okay, gotcha.
The MCU had Iron Man is the first movie, so it's like it had just started.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some like weird connections. The only reason Ray Stevenson got the job for this was because Kevin Feige, the MCU guy, actually recommended him to Lexi Alexander. So he did have some hand in this, like coming about. And this is actually part of the Marvel Knight series, which only had one other film, and that was that second Ghost Rider movie. Whatever it was, Ghost Rider Vengeance or whatever the fuck it was, and that's never come back. The Marvel Knights, I don't think. But it was meant to be like a darker side of the Marvel movies,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, as it stands, this is the best you're getting for a Punisher movie.
This is the best one
of the films. Yeah.
You said the TV show does a little better with the character.
Yeah, the TV show's great. Like that is actually like a good interpretation of the character.
Okay.
And they're supposed to bring him back soon. I know he's showing up in that new Daredevil season they're doing for like Disney Plus, which I mean is cool. And then they've talked about putting him in a movie, so we might actually get it in like a comic book accurate version of the character for films soon. But as it stands, this is the best you're getting because the Dolph Lundgren one is just a 80s action movie. He doesn't even have like the skull logo on his chest in that movie. He's just an action guy. And
Gotcha.
it's like the only iconography he has is like one of his knives have like a skull logo on them, and it's like, well, and then the Thomas Jane movie is good, but like for a Punisher movie, he doesn't actually like use a lot of guns or anything. Like he uses like other form. Like there is some fun stuff in that one too. Like there's a really fun scene where he's torturing a dude, and he's like telling him he's about to put a torch to his back that's like so hot it'll feel cold or something, And the guy's like terrified, and he takes a popsicle and like puts it on his back, and the guy's screaming. Like it's like that's fun, and there's fun stuff in that movie, but also it's like it's a weak interpretation, and also he's in Florida for some reason, which
you're retired.
Yeah, I'm like, why is the Punisher in Florida? Because like he's a Marvel character, and they're all in fucking New York. So this is the one that like actually tried to be comic book accurate to some extent.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a fun watch. It is very violent. It has a lot of very
2008 music. If you want to hear some fucking Slipknot and some Rise Against, it's in here. It's dumb, and I think it knows that it's dumb.
Okay. Cool.
That's all I got. Answer.
All right, everybody. I know why you're here to hear about comic book movies, and this is kind of a comic book movie, but it's not. It's also like a long TV show. I've been watching Arcane. It's the League of Legends TV show on Netflix. And I haven't actually finished it because the last 3 episodes just released today, and it's very early where I'm from, but I will be watching them later. But I've watched all the episodes up to this point, and obviously this is season 2, and I've watched through season 1 as well. I think I talked about this on the show at some point, but now this is the final season, so it's all kind of coming to an end here. If nothing else, I mean, if you don't, clearly, like, a lot of the people that watch this show, and I think you too as well, don't really like League of Legends, whatever. If nothing else, it's like on Netflix. If you have Netflix, it's right there. It is interesting to see money on the screen, like just like watching, like looking at a TV show and understanding that the budget for this must be insane is kind of fun in its own way. There's been a lot of like discussions about how much this movie or this show costs to make in its entirety. And the one number I keep seeing is $250 million, which initially sounds a little shocking, but considering it's like 9 episodes per season, there's 18 episodes total, and they're each like 40 minutes long. If you really break it down, the budget isn't as crazy as it might seem, like compared to like a Marvel movie or even like a Pixar movie. It's probably less. But it is still very expensive. And my God, is it beautiful to look at. And I would dare say that the jump from Arcane season 1 to season 2, because I watched season 1 again just to get ready for season 2. And in season 2, they take a lot more interesting risks with the animation in terms of combining different styles. So in the first one, it's very much more like a realistic looking animation style with a lot of like bright colors and interesting tricks to it. But season 2, there's a lot of, I would argue, like manga editions, maybe anime, but very comic booky, like clearly drawn visuals that they intersperse between, like, within the art style, and a lot more abstract art that they were able to put in. So there's just a lot of styles going on, and the way that they all combine together to tell stories is incredible. Like, I'm just completely blown away by the different styles they were able to put into this, and just how pretty it looks. Or if, in a cynical world, how expensive it was to clearly make it. So like it's just very mind blowing to see that. And there's all this music in it, a lot of licensed music from like famous artists that clearly probably cost a lot of money. The theme song is from Imagine Dragons. It's not very good. Because I don't really like Imagine Dragons. So I ended up just skipping the theme song a lot. But clearly, they put money in it. It follows the story of, I think it's safe to say that Jinx is your main character. So you follow her story, but you have other characters, Vi, Caitlyn, who these characters mean nothing to you guys, but Jace, Victor. And they all kind of have their own stories that interweave with each other, Jinx being the main one. Jinx is kind of like the Joker if she was more like emotional and had more of a reason for who she is, as opposed to Joker, who's more like just random evilness. There is like a Batman-esque style story going on with Jace, who's an inventor who tries to use his inventions for good, but they always end up just fucking everybody over. So it's kind of funny to see his thing. And they're using like the concept of magic, or you could use technology in place of that, but in this it's like a magic that they infuse into technology that is benefiting / hurting people, and there's different effects on people in society. And it deals with a lot of politics of like the upper rungs of society versus the lower ones. I mean, there's literally an undercity that's where Jinx is from, and there are different ways of solving problems between the two, and obviously they clash in very violent ways the further the story progresses. A lot of stuff going on. I can't really explain one plot or anything. It's just far too complex, but a really fun watch. I think on season 2. It was kind of slow in the middle of it. It started off really good. It kind of got slow in the maybe the 5th episode, and it gets a little bit, I would argue, too abstract at times. Where there's characters and you don't really know where they are, and it doesn't seem to care. It's just like they're in like a world of color, I guess, and you're just like, oh, okay. I'm not really into that, but to me it kind of loses me that. But I'm excited to see how it ends. I'll be watching it today, and I'm sure it'll end cool. And if you're a League of Legends fan, there's a lot of cool cameos and understanding the lore of the characters a little more. Obviously, they're going to change some of it, so I'm assuming this is going to be considered canon going forward. But interesting watch, if for nothing else, to see money on the screen. I would recommend it. Arcane.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say you don't need to be a League of Legends fan to enjoy Arcane. I just remember trying the first season, and I don't know, maybe it's visual style or something, but it kind of just lost me. But everyone talks about it so fondly, where I'm like, should I just suck it up and try and watch more? What do you think about that?
I mean, if you try it, it didn't catch you. That's I think that's it. It's just not for you.
Who knows, though? That could be like, just tiredness or fatigue. It might not be the show. Maybe I just didn't get far enough in.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
redeeming quality that makes it like worth checking out, watching the whole thing.
Not if you didn't like the beginning, because I was kind of hooked from the beginning. I'm very quick to abandon shows. I do not stick with anything if it doesn't hook me, and I was hooked from the beginning. So I don't know if it didn't work for you there. I don't see it panning out later. But I don't know. It gets really dark, and the characters obviously grow up. At the beginning, they're children, but they by mid-season 1 they're adults. So if you don't like kids, that'll end.
I do have to say, as a fan of animation, I haven't watched this, but as a fan of like animation and stuff, I've seen plenty like trailers and some like short videos on it, and the show's beautiful. The show looks really cool, visually, and I think that would be just the one thing that would probably draw me to it if I did want to try it. Is the visual aspect. That like you said, the budget isn't nearly as much as some other movies and shows, and to me the visual style looks a lot better than some other movies that have come out.
Yeah, it's really like, I mean, I can't stress it enough. Just forget League of Legends. Just forget all that shit. It's nonsense. It's characters 5v5 a MOBA. Like, who cares about the characters? But just watch it, at least an episode, just to take in the visuals of this show. It's insane, and it's just the way that they were able to put this together looks just so like shocking. It's incredible.
Curious who worked.
You looking up like?
Yeah, the animation studio. What else have they done? Dude, they did Rabbids Invasion.
Oh, there you go. If you're a Rabbids fan.
No, I actually have watched one of these though. They did Rocket and Groot, which is the little Marvel thing. I have watched some of that.
Yeah,
Groots are cute. I like those.
Nice.
There you go. It's Arcanic.
And if you're into representation, there's lesbians in it.
Fuck yeah.
Hey.
Now, what do they do? Tell me in great detail.
They kiss.
Tell us about the gay dude sections.
I think they're not gay, but you could. I've heard this term before. You could ship them, probably.
Shipping.
Shipping, ship them.
Shipping, yeah.
No, there's
Like,
really
put 'em on a
cool.
boat.
There's a really cool story between Jace and Victor, who fans of the games know that they're mortal enemies, but in this they're friends, and you can sort of see their relationship deteriorate. They're both kind of like scientist type people, and they're using what's called hex tech. It's like a magic infused into technology, and they're both kind of trying to argue like how best to suit society to use this, and if it's too powerful, yada yada yada. Well, and it, spoiler alert on this, but it's just kind of part of the story. One of them gets deeply like destroyed by it, and is but the way that they kind of come out of it is fascinating. Just how they're able to. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really play out like you would think. I mean, if you know the games, you kind of can tell where the endpoints are. But if you don't know that, the way that they deal with it is so unexpected.
Mm.
There's a lot of good stories in it. It's just, I think it's just better than a lot of the stuff that I see from most companies, live action or not. I'm not specifically an animation person, and when they announced this as like an animation thing, I was honestly kind of disappointed. But with it releasing and everything and seeing it, it's quite a triumph.
I think with these characters that animated makes sense anyway. With like the designs and stuff that I've.
Yeah. I mean, it could certainly be argued that there's really no other way to go, but I just wasn't really interested in a cartoon. But calling this a cartoon is kind of a disservice.
Dude, Roger Craig Smith plays Claggor.
Yes, Claggor. Let me see if I remember that character.
Is that his name? Do you know who Roger Craig Smith also is?
No.
He's Sonic.
Oh.
That's the current Sonic.
This kid is in it for like 3 episodes, I think.
Maybe. And he's Chris Redfield. That's Chris Redfield, guys. And that's Ezio.
The biggest names in gaming, this guy.
Sonic, Chris Redfield, Ezio.
Claggor. Yeah,
hey, he played Batman in Arkham Origins, so, full circle?
Kinda. The one that nobody played?
Yeah. I played it, though.
You did? I heard it was like the worst one, because it wasn't made by them, right?
It is the worst one. You're right.
Anyway.
But I still play it.
That is Arcane. Hooray.
Nice. Not I'll watch it, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, I gotta really have nothing to watch.
I don't know. I think you should at least try an episode. I'm not you, because you already did, but Alex, you should really try it. If you like animation, it's something to watch, man.
I mean, if I don't know if I don't have to know anything about League of Legends, yeah, sure.
I think that's the point of any of this stuff is that it tries to bring you in if you don't know it, because it's kind of the goal is to get more people interested.
Well, it's good to know it gets better later. I mean, like, so I don't know. I could try it. Try to get through the full ep. I think I did like the 10-minute rule.
That's kind of my rule too.
Well, I think we had a wrap. So let's close on a wrap.
Okay.
For comic book month.
We got one more episode left.
It's about the bat.
About the bat. He's going.
What the hell?
What's
fell
up with
down
that?
a well.
Today we had a fun episode of the Button Mappers. We talked about Superman. We talked about Ray Stevenson. We talked about
Steven Sand,
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
I really had to stretch that. Work.
Get flexible.
Teddy, I'll make a pact with you. I'll watch the first episode of Arcane if you watch the first episode of Arcane. That's
Okay. Deal.
There are no winners in this pact.
Yeah, there are no winners except for Netflix, I guess.
The winner watches it. Yeah, so the loser doesn't. I don't know.
It's funny. I read an article that Riot had to yell at at Netflix because they put up like a picture on like one of their slides of when you click an episode or click a show or something, and they put up a picture and it was created with AI art, and Netflix and Riot was like we paid these people like millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean you
put up their fucking work
and artists. Yeah.
Which is, I don't think they were arguing for the artists. I think they were arguing because they paid a lot of money for that art.
Yeah.
But indirectly defending the artist. Yeah.
Yeah. And why does Jinx have 3 toes and 5 eyes? Like every AI piece of AI art. It's like,
yeah.
Why does she have 7 fingers on that hand?
Yeah, weird. All right.
Well, we should wrap up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Spencer's got to go get his haircut.
Next time you see me,
let him know in the comments what kind of haircut she should get.
Thanks everyone that commented on this live stream in the live chat. I see you.
We did it so early today without warning. Everybody's probably in bed. And that's fine. I'd be in bed too.
Watching the button mappers.
Yeah, that's where I watch them. I was in my bed.